my sun.
Okay,
A beautiful black sun.
I love it.
Are we recording?
We are recording, and I got my little black sun.
Well, all right. Well, hello, Perceptionists.
Hello. I'm Emily.
I'm Christiane, and this is Perceptionists Anonymous.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So, I got a joke.
Yes. Joke it out.
Okay. All right. Let's figure it out. Okay. So, there is an older man fish, and he's swimming in his little ocean. He's on his way to work. He's got his little fish suitcase, and he's stoked. He's going to work, and he passes two young fish along the side of the ocean. And he says, "Hello, gentlemen. How's the water today?" And then the two fish kind of look at each other, and then they keep swimming along a little further, and they go, "What the hell is water?"
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And that builds up to ideas of living inside of the Matrix.
Right. There's a really. Have you ever seen that YouTube video that's about it's called?
What is water?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't think I can really recall it. Oh, maybe we'll have to watch that.
It's so good. It's one of those ones that like really impacted me for a long time, that like,
yeah,
the idea that we're in water, but we don't know that we are, is like the concept, right? Like it's not actual water, but it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's really cool. And it's like set to music, and it's edited really fucking pretty, and yeah.
Interesting.
Good.
Well, and that perfectly leads up to our topic today of these artistic renditions in the form of movies and in the form of books and in the form of like just all this form of art, I guess.
Yeah.
That particular thing you're talking about, the living inside of this water, and actually thinking about the idea of us swimming in electromagnetic fields. We are swimming through water.
I mean,
in
basically,
that way,
yeah.
we're surrounded. It's just a lot. It's just higher vibration. We can't really touch it physically, but that's talk for another time,
Yeah, so we got you guys for quarantine. So since we're all stuck at home, Christiane and I thought it would be a really fun idea to share some of the high vibration books, movies, TV shows that have changed our lives, or that have helped us identify different parts of ourselves or raise our magic, so that you guys can kind of take some time to experience those as well, because now is a great time for growth. And it's also just a really fun metaphysical topic to talk about how these artistic things can change us so deeply.
Yeah, dude, I felt like I was really there's certain movies that I think that we think of immediately when we think of like inspiring movies, or things that changed our lives, or things that really introduced us to other topics. Like there's a lot of things that we just have like an automatic response to. And then once you really start thinking about it, how in depth, like I know that our humanities teacher from high school, Mr. Lilly, shout out Mr. Lilly, he instilled in me this sort of ability to critique and to critically analyze movies, and to see what physically how people are acting things out in the movie, what the symbolism they're trying to convey, what the philosophy is they're trying to convey. And I found that that's been a theme that I've done a lot of my life, and I'm sure that you guys have too.
Yeah, absolutely. He did the same for me. He was the first teacher. He made us watch 15 movies or something in class.
Right,
and he would pause every other scene and be like, this is what this symbol means, and this is what they're doing, and this and that. And it was like the coolest way to learn.
Lives.
Right? It was the coolest way to learn humanities. He also was, just side note, he also introduced me to punk rock for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one who made me a fan of punk rock, which I think.
Oh, Mr. Lilly, I used to rock climb with his daughter, and I remember coming into class and him playing Modest Mouse, and that was my very first introduction to him, and I was like, this is a good song. He's like, this is a good band, and we made eye contact, and I'll never forget. And he introduced me Mr. Lilly he has inspired me so much as a person to where I would like to be a teacher, and I would like to work with teenagers.
Dude.
Because if I can be the person that introduces kids to to Modest Mouse, introduce kids to What the Bleep Do We Know, introduce kids to Brave New World, that shit is impactful. And those are movies we'll talk about later on.
Yeah, and Dogma, that was a big one he introduced us to, that
movie.
Oh
yeah, Dogma, oh my god.
I'll add that to my list.
Really cool. It's Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, Silent Bob.
Yeah.
He's like a really incredible stand-up guy, stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where should we start, dude?
Well, so a little bit about like, I guess what we mean about high vibration things. So,
Sure.
what we're talking about, it doesn't necessarily mean like the things we're going to say is like, this is a documentary on this topic that you should definitely watch. There might be some of that, but a lot of what we're talking about is things that speak to your vibration, things that help you raise your vibration. And whether that is
Yeah.
a beautiful story that helps you realize a part of you that you have been bypassing, or whether it is a documentary about this sort of thing, or something that's just really inspiring to that internal magic kind of that you have, is kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So not so much
Yeah.
like, here's some information of things you should go watch if you want to expand your knowledge. We're talking about things that you should go experience if
That
you want to
too.
raise your vibration.
Yeah, or to find anything that resonates. Like we all
Yeah.
know when we find a movie or a book or a character or a song and anything that really resonates with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that really it also, I know that for myself, it helps me put it puts pictures and it puts form to these things that I may be experiencing, but that I'm not sure quite what they are.
Yeah.
Which is something that I struggle with. Like I'll be having emotions, I'll be having feelings, but I won't quite know how to convey them. And then you may not realize it until it's been reflected back at you in a form of art.
Yeah, I actively use specifically books and movies and then my own writing as a mirror, because I am unable to see all the aspects of myself unless I'm hearing a character. Because if I hear a character and I resonate with that character, that's illustrating a part of myself. If I'm writing a character, I'm actively channeling a part of myself. If I'm watching a
Yeah.
movie and the movie has, this guy struggles with a lot of this stuff and I feel that same struggle, it's part of myself. And so instead of me sitting in meditation and trying to conjure up those pieces of me, I feel like a lot of times I turn to those external sources to try to view these aspects of myself. And the characters that are my favorite are always the ones that I resonate with, because they're showing me something either I want, I have, or I lack.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so important for me personally in my personal growth. I also do this obsessive thing, and my kids will tell you, everyone will fucking tell you. If I like a movie, I will watch nothing but that movie for the next 3 weeks.
Dude, I'll do that with music. I'll
Mm-hmm.
listen to the same song on repeat,
Yeah.
like indefinitely.
Over and over and over, right? And it's like, my
Yeah.
kids are like, Mom, we've watched another thing I'll
Wow.
talk about later, but we've watched Smallfoot enough times. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck how many times we've watched it. You're gonna sit down and watch this children's film with me again, because it's so important and I just need it to sink in, and this is what my energy needs right now. And they'll just be like, God, okay, fine.
That's so interesting. I'm glad that it's not, they say that's a form of OCD, but I think, I remember I made this post earlier in the week and it said, it was a picture of Lisa Simpson and she has her headphones in one and she's looking out the window. And then the next portion of the meme, it has her looking down on her iPod and she's clicking it. And it said, you know, that part, or it was like, when I'm listening to that song that really hurt me and I have to restart it over so that I can listen to the part that hurt me the most because it didn't hurt me enough.
That's so
Like
true.
it's true. It's like, and they say, I heard someone describe it once, that you are listening to something over and over so that you feel like you gave it enough attention, and B, so that you feel like you can fully grasp it, and there's a certain like internal alarm that goes off when you feel like you've understood it, and there's
Mm-hmm.
also an alarm that goes off when you feel like, no, I just need to listen to it again, just one more time, one more time, one more time.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
it's almost that energetic release that you're needing too. Because so often, like, you don't even
hmm,
realize this energy is building up, and then you get this visual thing that is that energy, or this audio thing that is that
yeah,
energy. And so by listening
validation.
to it or watching it over and over, you're like releasing these things that you've been
Yeah,
holding
that's so
without
interesting,
even
man.
knowing.
And that's the art of storytelling, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the art of storytelling. And storytelling is uniquely it's the most human thing. It's what we do every moment of our lives, to be totally honest.
Yeah,
We're making a story and then we're telling that story like constantly in everything we do. And social media particularly has like really led to like the rise of this in a degree, in a really weird way, but it's like you get to
yeah,
perform, constantly showing a story to public while having a different story
yeah.
behind the scenes.
You're
And
right.
right, it's really interesting. And so this art of storytelling, to connect back to it as a tool to like raise your vibration, as opposed to just like a thing that like distracts you or is bypassing, which there's room and space for
There's
that too,
both,
100%.
yeah.
Like, I have watched Tiger King and I was not vibration raising. It fucking exists, so there we
She's
go.
like, she's like, I'm not gonna lie.
Not gonna lie, I watched it. It's the craziest true crime story I've ever fucking seen, but also like not gonna raise my vibration, was just a distraction while I was having panic about COVID. So
Carol Baskin, you bitch.
Oh, Jesus.
What my
Girl,
boyfriend texted me and he said, I think I have a problem. And I was like, my mind started running. I was like, what? He's like, I have watched Tiger King 5 times. I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God, that's it. Thank
It's
God. Okay.
the thing about
Yeah.
Tiger King, which I think is really beautiful, and this is going to be from my author side of me kind of speaking, is
Of course, we're starting this thing out without Tiger King.
I don't know why we are, but it's really cool because it shows you how a story doesn't have to have a good guy and a bad guy. Everyone can be a chaotic fucking neutral and you can still be entertained.
Yeah, you're right. And that makes it so authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, dude, I thought it was so weird once. So we were watching Tiger King for the first time, and my cat all of a sudden in the middle of the night starts freaking out, and she jumps up onto the TV area, and then she jumps down and she knocks down that Egyptian bust you gave me a long
Oh,
time ago.
damn. Uh-huh.
She knocks it off the table, and it hits my stepmom's toy tiger, or like it's a porcelain tiger.
I'm
And
sorry.
she fucking,
Why do you
what?
have that in your house?
Because Angela likes fancy shit.
Okay.
Okay, she likes fancy shit. But my cat is freaking out while we're watching Tiger King, and he knocks this Egyptian bust onto the fake cat, and it shatters during Tiger King. And I was like, this is too weird, dude.
Creepy.
Yeah, too much. That's the
Yeah.
spirit of Tiger King coming after me.
Right. Well, it's like your
But
cat, like, fuck this noise. None of those cats should be in prison. Like, fuck no.
right, shit, that would be my son.
Right?
That would be my cat son. Um, So
Damn.
I mean, yeah, Tiger King, that's a fantastic place to start this. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's other memes that are saying, you know, you know how everyone would absolutely be freaking out right now, and that there would be potential of massive riots if it weren't for Tiger King, if it weren't for this like release that we have and this opportunity for escapism, and
Yeah.
you can only blame us for so far.
Yeah. And I feel like to a degree, escapism is really, really good. You just can't fall into it forever, right? So like whenever I go, I don't
Yeah,
I don't have television in regards to like paying for cable. And I think most
sure,
millennials
no.
don't really at this point. They really don't. And I haven't for, I don't know, 15 years, like for a really long time.
Yeah, I never have either.
A really long time. And so every time I go to a hotel, I always watch like super trashy reality television because it's
Huh.
fucking ridiculously fun for just no
MTV and
reason.
shit.
And it's like you're on vacation in the first place. So I don't want to watch anything that's like moving or deep or anything. I'm on vacation, so I'm going to watch this like trashy escapism
Huh.
stuff anyway, for like that reason. Or if I'm going to like, whenever I'm staying at hotels. So if I'm traveling for work or whatever too, that's kind of what I do. So, there is a space for that for sure. That can be vibration lifting as well, because giving your vibration a break sometimes is really, really important.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I do when Emily and I were putting together the idea of what we were going to watch or what we were going to do for this show. I tend, I guess, being my Capricorn heavy self, I was thinking, all right, what ways can we really get a point across to our listeners? What ways can we really explain something or really confront something now that we have their attention, or now that we all are focused? And she's like, and I appreciate that you had reminded me, no, you know what, like, we need sometimes we just need something lighthearted, and sometimes we need something that's inspiring, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make us really work for that inspiration. It's like a gift to us. It's given to us.
Aw,
I know. Wow, where'd that come from?
that
Thanks,
was
thanks,
beautiful.
thanks, universe, Christy.
Well,
Um,
yeah, no, because I feel like we're kind of in that point. We're settling into these like new versions of ourselves, and things are changing. It
yeah,
can be scary right now or not, but like listing and the stuff we're going to talk about in a minute, like our examples of high vibration stuff, like being
yeah,
able to watch those is or experience those, read those, whatever it is so helpful to get you to help awaken and see these pieces of yourselves without you having to work super hard for it,
yeah,
without you like diving into the panic or sitting in your fear or any of this stuff.
right.
Just like experience and release and see and change and digest in a way that's like super low key and really calm, and that we are all like literally lucky enough to live in a time that we get to fucking do, because this is the
We
first
do.
time that we get
Right, absolutely. Dude, you know what I watched 2 days ago for the first time was the new Lion King.
Oh yes.
Wow. Yeah, that was, wow, Scar is a fucked up, traumatic character. Like, now that it was put into like a different perspective to where it's more realistic and it's more modern day, and they have such complex character building. Like, that character is a fucking monster, dude.
Dude, One of the ones that is on my list right now to talk about is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Speaking of Disney,
Oh, interesting.
have you watched that as an adult?
No, but maybe I will tonight.
Other than Frozen 2, it is probably my favorite Disney movie. My favorite Disney movies
Huh.
are pure as fuck. I love The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Brother Bear, and then now I love Frozen 2. But Hunchback and Brother Bear are my fucking top two because The Hunchback of Notre Dame is a disabled protagonist taking on the institution of the Catholic Church to fight for the outcasts.
Wow.
And it is just so fucking cool. But Claude Frollo, like the
Wow.
villain in that, is scary on like a real this person is a psychopath scary level. Because I remember as a kid my mom didn't like me watching it and I like loved it and she like didn't, and then as an adult I like watched it and I was like, I get why she didn't want me to fucking watch it. Like he like sings a song about wanting to like essentially like rape and kidnap Esmeralda and they put it in a children's,
Wow.
but it's like really powerful. So I highly recommend that one. Is
Wow.
really intense. It's a really easy high vibration thing to watch though, because it presents really intense, big world changing challenge authority concepts in like really small doses. And they
Wow,
also
that's
like address,
incredible.
yeah, they address the concept of like God is supposed to love everyone, so stop trying to be elitist with it. Like that is in
Yeah,
the movie and you're like,
sure.
ooh, okay, like damn
Wow. And that
Disney.
stuff, so and our generation is so interesting. I mean, like I'm sure there's other generations before us that grew up with TV and they grew up with a lot of, but they grew up with like a Little House on the Prairie and Bonanza, and they grew up with stuff like that. So it's a little bit different, but I feel like those people then grew up and then they portrayed messages to our generation
Mm-hmm.
that have created a group of people, a group of indigos that has it helped nurture our sort of indigo revolutionary idealism that comes from ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
has helped them develop millennials. I've only seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame a couple times when I was a kid, but one movie I love Pocahontas and Hercules. I love
I watched
Hercules
Hercules
so much.
yesterday.
Really? Oh, yeah. I might do that tonight. I've been really feeling like doing that, but I love my favorite time of day is 7 p.m. That's the time that I was born, but during 7 p.m. around that time when the sun is setting and it turns everything yellow, it
Mm.
reminds me of when Pocahontas is running through the forest and all the forest is yellow because she's running through sunset, and it just like it. I don't know what it is. It just resonates with me so well.
That's
um,
beautiful. That's kind
yeah.
of, it's similarly why I love Brother Bear.
Oh, huh. I've never
We're
seen
going
it.
down the Disney route. We'll just go down it. Brother,
Tiger King.
I know. Brother Bear is a way of presenting the concept to children that animals have spirits and you have an animal spirit that can guide you and spirit guides that can help you and like guide you into this next level, and that the actions, like that everything in life has a purpose, and like it's really really cool. It's a really
Yeah,
really deep concept. So like similarly it's like that
cool.
weird connection to like this like Pocahontas running through that forest, like that same feeling
Yeah.
of, like experiencing nature as a living
Mm.
thing is in that movie so much. There
Wow.
was a period of
That's
time, I was right around the time during this period of time where I really got into loving Brother Bear so much. I had also just recently read Picture Maker and the Clan of the Cave Bear series, which is just essentially books about indigenous people, and they're really really great.
okay.
I highly recommend those too. That wasn't even on my list, but these are things that I definitely read. The Picture Maker series, it's 2 books and it's so good. It's really really cool, and the way it's written is really neat. It's about basically an indigenous woman that goes, she never is supposed to leave her village, but she does, and she goes up, and this is during Viking times, and she ends up getting over to, from the coast of the United States, she gets picked up by essentially like a Viking person and taken to Iceland, and then her daughter
Okay.
comes all the way back home. So it's like this really cool journey of like this woman. It's really neat, but it's
Oh,
very
okay.
similar. It's like presenting those concepts in a really visual way of like these indigenous and native belief systems, in a way that's like approachable that we can all understand. And so I was really really into it at that point in time.
Wow. That yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I've never been big on fiction myself, but there was a couple of years where I read I went and read like Interview with the Vampire, all these Anne Rice books, and then I also read like the Cirque du Freak books.
Okay.
And then also I've talked about this quite a few times on our show about the Boxcar Children. I would
Mhm.
really like to revisit those books as an adult because as a child they changed my life so much. Like the idea growing up in the household that I did, watching it, the Boxcar Children is similar to the Chronicles of Narnia, wherein they're orphans, basically, essentially. And then they are removed from this world that they're living in. They run away and they survive on their own. And in the Boxcar Children, they run out into the forest and they survive off the land, and they survive living in these abandoned buildings, basically abandoned boxcars. And I just found that so unique. But anyway, as a kid, those really had inspired me. And then now as an adult, I can't wait to talk about Avatar, man. Speaking
so you're
of, like,
talking about, you should go ahead and talk about the blue people Avatar, and then I'll talk about the anime Avatar, because they're very different and very high vibration in and of themselves.
Okay, that sounds awesome, because I've never watched, I know you're talking about the Avatar, the Airbender. I have no experience with that, but at least
I've watched it the entire series all the way through at least 8 times.
What?
Maybe more.
Well, let's talk about that. Explain to me the storyline.
Okay. It is fucking amazing. It's so good. So essentially, there's the kingdom of fire, the kingdom of earth, and the kingdom of water, and then also the air. And they're all benders. Not all people, but the kingdoms have benders in them. So earthbenders can move the earth, waterbenders can move the water and ice and that sort of thing. Firebenders can bend fire and lightning, and then airbenders can bend air. And there's supposed to be one person that's born, one person on earth at any given time, or in that land at any given time, that can master all 4 elements. Well, the fire kingdom basically attacks, and they think that they killed the last avatar, which is the person who would master all 4 elements. And but they didn't. He just ended up actually getting frozen in ice. So there was 100 years without an avatar, and the Fire Nation took over everything, and it's all really, really bad. And then these kids from the Water Nation end up finding him and waking him up, and they go on a journey with him about basically to try to master the 4 elements to take down the Fire King. But the whole thing is, his name is Aang, and he's the last airbender. They killed off all of the airbenders to make sure that a new avatar wouldn't be born into them.
Wow.
And it's intense, but he is a peaceful soul. Like, that's like his core belief is like, I'm not going to kill anyone. I won't do it. And they're like, you need to kill the Fire Lord, like, this whole time. And there's tons of different things that come up where he like needs to kill the Fire Lord. And he's like, I'm not gonna kill the fucking fire. Like, I can't kill the Fire Lord. It's not gonna happen. So like this whole journey is him trying to like get to this end that he doesn't even want to get to. And like it's really, really powerful. They talk about the elements in a really unique way. And I've mentioned this before on here, but there's actually, he goes to study with a guru at one point during the show. And the guru tells him about each chakra and how to clean your chakras and like align them with your highest avatar state, which is essentially your higher self. And this is all for like, it's a kid's show. It was on Nickelodeon. It's an anime, but it was on Nickelodeon. And yeah, it's so powerful. It's so beautiful. And like the concepts are just so unique and wonderful. And they're all super peaceful. And then there's also that like intertwining of like kids show stuff too, you know, so it's kind of fun and kind of light. And times you're just like, oh my God, like that just ripped my soul out. Like, oh my God, it's so impactful.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a perfect description. I guess cartoons they can be underregarded, underappreciated for kind of obvious reasons. As we grow older, they keep our attention less and less, unless we have that predisposition or that propensity towards art, and particularly like visual art and fine art.
The whole thing of anime.
And I'm not an anime fan almost at all, but I think that's a concept that I could really resonate with enough to get behind.
There's some animes that I wasn't an anime fan. Weston was the one who turned me on to anime. I was like, I don't watch weird Japanese cartoons. And he was like, just sit down and watch one. And then once I did, I was like, I have never seen anything with better character development, writing, or storyline in my entire life.
Wow.
I don't give a shit if it's a cartoon. It is incredible. Incredible. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was the first anime that you really got into?
So the first anime that Weston like had me watch is it wasn't actually the one that really got me into it, but I was like, okay, this is an intriguing enough concept that I think I can get into this. So then we started, when is it? I can't even, it's the one where the people eat the people. What the fuck, what is it? Hold on, I will think of it. I'll get back to it. But then we really got into Naruto, and I still haven't quite finished Naruto. It's 700 episodes, so like it's a lot. And I'm not quite there, and Weston's dying to have me finish. But and I've watched Naruto, but not Naruto Shippuden. It's a continuation. That one's really, really good. The next one I really got into was the Seven Deadly Sins, and then and that one's fantastic as well. But probably one of my favorite ones all time is actually on this list too, is Gurren Lagann, and it's one
Okay.
season, so it's only like 30 episodes. And after watching that anime, I had to recover from it for a week.
Interesting. What does that mean?
Like I would be almost in tears almost every day about the memory of the show because it was so deep. Like the things that they did and the way that they do it. And I don't like sci-fi really at all. Like there's very
Me either.
that I like any
No.
kind of sci-fi, anything. And I have a couple examples of good sci-fi where I feel comfortable. Like it makes me feel comfortable, but I'm not into like the planets and the space and the whatever and stuff. But this,
yeah, futuristic, me either.
Right. Gurren Lagann starts with a little boy who's underground and living underground on Earth because animal people rule the top of Earth, and him and his brother basically break out from under the ground, and they essentially discover all of this ancient civilization stuff and all this stuff that helps them take down the animal people. But then unfortunately, that was like, if there's more than 10,000 humans on the planet at any given time, then this extraterrestrial thing comes and attacks. And it sounds weird and it sounds obscure, but the human concepts that are presented in this extra human way are so powerful. And
wow.
It literally, it changed my view of what it means to be a person.
You know what? And that's really interesting because there are some actual scientific theories that there are people living inside of our planet.
Yeah.
It's called the inner Earth theory. I don't really know a lot about it. That might be a conversation for another time.
Yeah. But it's
wow,
really
that's interesting. So character development, very cool. So I guess that with you having explained that, it does make me more apt to find a way to resonate with the idea of anime. I guess I just like, once again, I barely like fiction, let alone like this level of fiction, you know?
Yeah,
I tend to like, you know.
Start with Avatar: The Last Airbender and then build up from
all right, cool. That sounds good. Maybe I'll try that. So, and then speaking of the Avatar meeting the blue people, this movie is in preparation of this show, I rewatched some of it, and I also rewatched some people describing it and describing kind of the history or describing what it means, the spirituality of it. And it's so interesting, the topics that are portrayed, because you know what, man, I'm a firm believer that Hollywood puts ideas into the public mind to see how we react to them. Like, I truly think that there's some of the stuff that's being portrayed in movies is technology that we have. They are realistic ideas of things that are hidden from us as a people, and that they put them out in the public to see how we react.
I think that's fair.
And certain things, like, I think once again, like the fact that our generation was raised on post-apocalyptic fiction, I think it was there to instill this desire to fight for our rights against this slavery, to fight for our rights against totalitarianism. I think that they knew that was coming, or that we may still be in the impending stages of it, and that we were going to have that sort of inspiration. Even right now, I'm wearing a Mockingjay bracelet.
I am counting down the days till the new Hunger Games book comes out.
Sure. So I got to read the books. That'll be interesting too. Did you read the books?
It was one of the first series where I finished it, and I was in awe of the way she wrote it. Now, the one thing I don't like about the Hunger Games, I love the Hunger Games. I really genuinely do. But one thing I don't like about it is I fucking hate love triangles, like, a lot.
Okay.
Love triangles make me angry.
Interesting.
In books, I just don't like it. Like, I don't like develop.
It takes up a lot of time.
It takes up so much time, and just like develop a relationship with like one person, and if there's a triangle, whatever, I don't know, it just bothers me. But like the way she ends it, the last 2 pages after reading the whole series, you get the emotional impact that she was going for. And it's like, it's the way it's executed is so fucking brilliant, because at the end, you don't feel fulfilled. Like, you feel desolate. Like, you feel, holy shit, you feel like empty from it. And that's the point. Like, even though things continue on good, like, you still feel the emptiness and like how much of a toll this actually would have taken. And it's just done so well. So well.
Wow, that's really interesting. See, and therein lies the necessity that we have for storytelling, and the necessity that we have for being able to play out these ideas and to experience them as people without having to actually experience them. And that goes for good things as well as bad things. And it's cathartic and it's inspiring. Like, you know what fucking movie inspires me so much is V for Vendetta. Truly. That movie, I've cried at the end of V for Vendetta many times because I feel like in some people like me and some people like you, there we have activist spirits. And I remember my whole life thinking like, I need to get to the point where I can be a person that I can be able to inspire other people and then I can fight the government and that I can fight for fucking people and I can fight for humanity's sake and fight for spirituality's sake. And little did I know, we are, you know, we are doing that on a daily basis, just on a little different of a scale.
Yeah.
But V for Vendetta, that movie absolutely like struck me so much, particularly because I'm a sucker for anarchy, you know, and for people, the power to the people. That is what it's all about, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So V for Vendetta, Avatar, and then you have other Into the Wild, dude. That's a movie we
Movie more than
analyzed
the book.
in. I've never read the book. I do have it. I guess I'm talking the movie.
Yeah, I like the movie more too.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The book, I don't know. The book didn't have the same emotional impact as the film did for me.
Huh. Wow, okay. I've never read the book. I just remember once again a movie that we had watched with Mr. Lilly, and it had I've always been I've always had a predisposition towards minimalism and towards what's called primitivo anarchism. So it's earth-based, so green-based magic, earth-based anarchy, anything that reminds us to return back to the earth. And for a long time, I was really against the development of civilization. Like I really thought that we had strayed so far from what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be living, and we've developed these big false ecosystems, and we've developed big cities and all these things that are unnatural. And I've always there's of the four philosophies, those Greek philosophies, cynicism, I think there's stoicism, epicureanism, cynicism, and then there's another one I think. But the idea of cynicism, where it's a rejection of society, and Diogenes, he was the proponent of this philosophy, and he lived naked in a barrel, and so he rejected the concept of organized civilization, which now as an adult I don't necessarily feel so much, but I think I reject big government.
Yeah.
In a way, but either way, I just thought that when he like sets his money on fire and he returns to nature, that shit just inspired the shit out of me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The only thing that I struggle with Into the Wild is I feel like by the end of it, you genuinely understand the importance of being a community still, though. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
what they go for, though.
Yeah, like it's so it's an interesting high vibe one because part of it you're like, yeah, I want to go. I don't want to live in a barrel naked, but I'll live in the woods naked. And but by the end of it, you're actually like, well, actually, community's pretty fucking wonderful.
Love is only, or happiness is only true. What does he say? Happiness is only true when shared.
Yeah, I mean, we're herd animals too. Like we like herds. We're a herd people. We need each other.
Yeah, you're right. And we and people there, we have natural hierarchy, I think, that occurs, but I think we are also developing as a people. So where our civilization grows, we're not really sure where that's going to go yet, and we have certain predispositions as humans, and that we have certain developments that occur. So I think I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a really interesting topic. And then The Matrix, that's another great movie.
So admission, I've never seen any of the Matrix because
really? I just saw them recently.
I don't like sci-fi shit. So I was like, no, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe we could watch it together, or maybe what I'll do is
that should be one of our stoned cauldrons.
Yeah, right. The smoking cauldron.
And watch The Matrix.
Oh yeah, dude, we got to do that shit soon when we're allowed to see each other again.
I know.
Right.
I feel like we need to be together because if we're far apart, it's not going to be as effective. We can't.
No, yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, we got a hot box of shit. But The Matrix, it's really interesting because in terms of the idea of the holographic universe and that we're living inside of, they say that our consciousness is being projected into our bodies. And that's kind of the idea behind The Matrix, is that Neo's living his life just like everyday basic life like we do, nothing special. And then he he ends up being a computer hacker, and
Mm.
someone basically hacks into his computer and says, I know what you are doing. You need to follow this white rabbit to the portal, and you need to figure out where your life's going to go. And then this group of people shows up at his house, and this girl has a white rabbit tattoo on her arm, and he's like, no shit, how did he know that was going to happen? So he follows them to this club, and he gets there, and this woman says, I know who you are. I know that you're a computer hacker. We need your help trying to hack this other system.
Mm.
And through this other system, he gets taught about what the matrix is, and that in fact the body that he's living in is not a physical body, but it's a computer generation, and that his physical body is actually in this cocoon that's being used to feed energy vampires, basically. And so what they do
Damn.
is that he takes the red pill, and he's able to wake up, and then all those people find him. So he has a life inside the matrix and a life outside the matrix. And I think that that's
Interesting.
similar to what's happening with us here right now during this sort of awakening period, is that
Yeah.
we see the matrix in a way. We at least see propaganda. We at least see everything that's being pushed onto us media wise.
Yeah.
But then
A
also
lot.
there really is a matrix that we have to, through meditation and through being able to realize our hyperdimensionality,
Yeah.
we can kind of step outside of it, which is something I think a lot of us are practicing, trying to get to the fifth dimension, the
Yeah.
fourth density. So
I
life's
shared
weird.
this with you personally offline
Hmm.
a while ago, but I'll share it on here too. Is that I did a meditation, and by the end of it, I felt that we could all create light, and all this really interesting
Yeah,
stuff. But when I opened my eyes, everything literally felt two dimensional. Not like it looked two dimensional, but it felt two dimensional. So it's like kind of
yeah.
hard to explain, but like I
You
feel
could
that.
feel the hologram.
I could feel it. It was really, really interesting. It
I
was,
understand that.
yeah.
Wow, dude. So that's fucking
I'll
crazy.
actually watch The Matrix with you. We will watch it. I have been
Cool. That sounds good.
resisting. I've resisted it, but I will watch it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I watched it once when I was younger, and then we watched it over Christmas, and I watched it again. I think yesterday I started watching it, and I tend to like to watch things that analyze things more than I like to watch the things themselves.
Mm,
Like I was watching. I do want to watch the Avatar again, in terms of also the Avatar being interesting, where this guy's consciousness is being projected into a character inside of this sort of life as well.
yeah,
And for that one, I love the concept of the Navi in the Avatar, because it's literally every single thing that lives in this Navi's world is a part of the same thing. Like all the individual people, all the trees, all the spirits, all the animals, like everything is part of this interconnected system,
yeah,
which in reality is how things are
mm-hmm.
in real life. And
Yeah,
so to be able to recognize the interconnectedness of all of life, and that we can be able to tap into anything by tapping into anything,
yes,
so
yeah.
that's
No,
exciting.
I agree with that one, and I also like that they resist really fighting for it until they absolutely have to.
Yeah,
Like they want to
right.
do peace, they want to do peace, they want to do peace, and I feel like
They want to
sometimes
cooperate.
when there is these big like revolutionary movies, like they're fighting against the man, they don't do so much like I want peace first. Let's
Yeah,
try to work this out together first. They go straight to like fucking let's shoot them with guns or
yeah.
whatever it
Which
is.
is ego,
It's totally
which is the
ego, and I
concept of ego
yeah.
versus holism.
No, I really appreciate that in the Avatar for sure. Yeah, most of the rest of it I have on my list. I have a couple more shows and movies, and the rest are
Okay.
books. So
Okay.
shows Steven Universe, which is another cartoon.
Huh.
They're only like 15-minute long episodes, and it's really, really cool. It's a fucking awesome lesbian love show, let's put it that way, but it is a children's show.
Interesting.
And it's so cool because essentially on Earth, long before there were humans, basically, there was a war between extraterrestrials that are all incarnates from specific stones. So there's the amethyst race, and there's the opal race, the
Wow.
diamonds. Yeah, right. They're incarnated from these stones, and they literally have light bodies that exist around the stone. Like each of their stones, they each have them on their person. And like a group of the extraterrestrial people break off and realize that Earth is a wonderful place, and they don't want the rest of them to destroy it, so they fight back against their own governments. And this is like the predecessor to the show, but they like fight back against these governments and get them off planet. And there's only like 3 of them left that fought against this government, and that's Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl are like the ones,
Garnet. Woo woo.
right? And one Rose Quartz was the leader of all these people, and she ended up marrying and having a son with a guy who's a human on Earth, and that's Steven Universe. And so he is both a gem, which is one of the races of people that are like extraterrestrials, and not a gem, a human. And so he like bridges the gap, and like the concepts that are presented are just so beautiful. And like there's a way where like your gems can fuse, and it's like an ultimate love bond basically, and like you become a new person, and
Wow.
like two people can do it. It's really, really cool. And if you need something that's like super lighthearted, you can stream it on Hulu right now, I think. But
okay.
It's super lighthearted and really, really neat, and just like deep and metaphysical in these concepts, and also like defining what love is and all these different things. And he's just like the most upbeat child in the whole fucking world, and it's so cute. So I highly recommend that one. And they're only like 15-minute long episodes. Like they're really
cool.
Yeah,
that's great.
That one's really, really good. The movie Smallfoot, which is hilarious. It's another cartoon, but it's a Disney, not Disney, but it's like an animated movie thing.
Okay.
And the idea is there's a bunch of Yetis that live on top of this mountain, and they're not allowed. They think the mountain's floating, and like their chief person tells them that it's floating and whatever, and they think Smallfoots are a myth, which are us because we have small feet instead of
Smallfoot, Bigfoot. Oh my god, so cute.
Yeah, so they think Smallfoots are a myth, and then one time a guy sees it. One of the Yetis sees a Smallfoot before he falls off the mountain, and he goes and he tries to tell everybody, and they go, no, what you're saying is wrong, like we don't believe you, and they try to shut down his truth, and they even banish him. And then this little group that's still there is like, no, we believe in Smallfoots. And it's all about how everything is so much bigger than we think it is, and trying to limit our consciousness out of fear is not good. So we should actually actively try to expand our consciousness despite fear. And that's like the whole point of the movie, and it's really fucking cool.
No, we believe in the Smallfoots.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
They even sing like a song in it that it's like, you know, it's all much bigger than we know. Like take a look around and see what you know, and then look deeper, because what you know is not just it.
Wow. Yeah. And that's only our levels of perception. And I mean, once again, we can only be blamed up to a certain extent, up to a certain point, because we are human, and we can only perceive as much as we can perceive, but I think that is something that we're outgrowing, and we're soon as a species going to be able to tap into a much vaster ability of recognition than we can even probably understand right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
As spiritual beings, we're progressing.
Another one I had on my list is the Kindness Diaries, which is actually a docuseries. It's on Netflix. And it's just it reminds you how connected people are in a really unique way. So essentially what it is a guy decides he's going to travel all the way around the world spending no money. He's going to rely strictly on the kindness. I think
I've heard of this.
Yeah, he's going to rely strictly on the kindness of others. And that's it.
Got mixed feelings about this shit.
Totally. And I understand that. And a lot of people do have mixed feelings. They're like, what the fuck? Like, you're asking people to help. And he's like, no, I wanted to prove that people are still innately kind to one another.
You're right. The people are good. I absolutely believe that. People are good at heart. We need to survive, and we need to be loved, but we also need to give.
Well, the coolest thing is he does it. He makes it all the way around the world, spending no money, literally just relying on the kindness of strangers, and people take him into their homes. A homeless man's like, here, you can come sleep in these bushes with me. I have a setup. Like it's just so fucking beautiful. Everything that he does, every experience is just incredible. And he has he has two people with cameras that like follow him to make the series, but they don't stay with the people. Like he's like, no, it's literally just me. Like this is just, it's like a document, whatever. But the cool thing is then at the end of it, he goes to every person that's helped them, and he gives them the thing that they really, really need. So like for the homeless man, he gives the homeless man a house. Like he buys him a house.
What?
Mm-hmm. And he like buys him a house. And like one person, he like, he gets him a job doing this certain thing that he's always wanted to do. Like there's just so many things. When he's in like India, he gives the family like 2 different cows and a bunch of goats, which is literally like, it will save the rest of their life. It'll make them wealthy people. And it's so cool. So I highly recommend that one. If you're just like, fuck humans, go watch that. And you're like, okay, not fuck humans as much. Like that one is,
that's a good way to put it.
It's really cool. And like there's mixed stories and people are like, oh, people are way more likely to help you if you have 2 cameras following you around. And I'm like, well, actually on the contrary, I think to a degree people are like, no, I don't want you to come film the inside of my house. Like, you know, like it's almost harder to some space. So it's really interesting. And the only time he's unable to find a place to sleep is when he's in Nice, which is one of the richest areas of France, and no one will help him.
I believe that. Yeah.
Right? So I highly recommend that one. It brings you back and you're like, okay, I'm about humans again.
Wow, dude, that's really incredible. That's something I will have to watch. You're right. That kind of that reminds me of a few other movies I had on my list, like things that kind of lends into conspiracy. It gives me the same kind of inspiration as like conspiracy does in a way.
Yeah, I get that.
Where it triggers that spot of you that's like there's something so much bigger than us. There's things that we can't explain, and there's things that validate our emotions that come from an unexpected point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So movies like, thank God we had Ben Stewart on the show, and like he produced movies called The Esoteric Agenda and Kymatica, and a lot of these they're spiritual or they're explanations of spiritual concepts to make it more accessible for people. And then that brings up, did you ever watch Loose Change?
I actually didn't.
Okay. Well, I think I watched it when it first came out, but like that level of movies like Zeitgeist Addendum, Kymatica, Loose Change, What the Bleep Do We Know? All these Thrive, all these movies came out around the same time. And I think that they are high vibe, and I understand your propensity against conspiracy because it can in a way facilitate fear, facilitate that fear of the government and fear of all of these things, but I feel like in another level it does kind of inspire people, or it's inspired me to rise up against these people, and find a way outside of these systems. So I guess,
and I agree with that. Like one of the first awakening books that I read was The Secret History of the World as laid out by the secret societies. And
interesting.
Oh, it's so good. It's because there's a book called The History of the World, and it literally takes that cover of that book and says The Secret History of the World, and they like fucking fuck with the cover, and it's so good. But it's all about the different, starting way back in ancient times, the mystery schools that gave rise to the secret societies of today and all the things they've influenced throughout history and all this really interesting stuff. So I'm about it. I just don't like when people get so stuck in it that even the modern, like even the narrative that's happening, they can't just be like, listen, who gives a fuck? Let's move on. It's like, let's dive. And that's just where I have an issue with the potential for getting stuck in the fear and the disproving, as opposed to like, what can I do about it? Let's just move forward. That's my only issue. But if it's inspiring, like I totally get inspired by that, some of that stuff too. Oh. Christy, she has frozen. Oh, you're back.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, so that's cool. Just my only thing is I just don't like people. Conspiracy can sometimes just get people stuck, and that's the only thing I don't like. Sure. Like, I love it if it's inspiring, and that's great. Just always make sure that like if you digest the information, then you move forward from the information instead of just pick apart, because then it's just
I agree. I absolutely agree. That's something that I feel like I've been bringing up a lot too, because like we get into these conversations about politics, we get into these conversations about what's wrong with the world, and it's like, okay, yes, that is true. However, now what? What's the next thing? Now what do we do?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's a lot of where I think that people get stuck because we truly want to comprehend, we want to understand, and I don't blame us. I know that I want to, but there comes to be a point where all we're doing is battling minute details of something so much bigger, when it's like, yeah, we can agree to disagree, because we sometimes will never fucking know. We'll never fucking know how coronavirus got started. We will absolutely never know who's benefiting from it. We will absolutely have no idea if the government's shutting down everything for one reason or for another. We may never know those things. However, what are we doing in the meantime?
Exactly. Like, who gives a fuck at the end of the day? Like, let's just make it
Yeah.
as good as
I
we
mean,
can and move forward as best as we can to get to the next stage. Like, let's picture where we're
sure.
going and go there instead of sitting and sitting and sitting where we're at, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
And understanding, well, I mean, and I agree that we do need to know. I want to know too, and I'm going to sit and that's not going to keep me from sitting like on my own time and start really just ruminating on what's going on still, but like in the end,
Mhm.
what we do is how we move forward.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I thought for a minute about stand-up comedy because
Okay.
I think there's some stand-up comedy that is so high vibration.
Oh, but or at least political or at least inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, some of it's really high vibration though. Like the stuff they're talking about is like big, deep, emotional, powerful concepts, as opposed
Daniel
to just
Sloss.
as opposed to like dick and vagina jokes, right? Like
Yeah,
there's a
for
difference, and there's
sure.
a balance, of course, as there always should be. But like,
Yeah.
some of it's really high vibe, and we've talked about Daniel Sloss a bunch, so obviously his stuff.
Yep.
But for what I kept thinking about is Bo Burnham's Make Happy
Oh
special.
yeah.
Only
Okay.
the Make Happy one. The other one's fine, but the Make Happy one. The last, if you don't want to watch the full thing, it's on Netflix. If you don't want to watch the full thing, fine. Just Google on YouTube Kanye Rant and just watch just that one song that he does, because it is so powerful. Not just the words, not just how he performs it, the lighting, the cinematography and camera work on this one song. It Every piece of it conveys the message. And it's
Wow.
so, I've watched it, just that one song, I think at least 100 times, if not more.
Really interesting.
And it'll be every couple weeks, I'll go right back to it and I'll be like, man, I want to watch it again, because it's one of those things that you're just like, whoa, I get it. Like, I understand like the difference between like being a performer for yourself and for the world, and all of these different really high vibrational concepts about looking inward. And it's just, he starts the song by singing about Pringles cans and ends it by truly like diving into
Having
what,
moved a
right,
generation.
right. Well, like diving into the nature of what happiness even is. And it's so
Wow.
fucking cool. So I highly recommend that one. Do you have a
Okay.
comedy specials or anything that you're like, that one?
Well, I think that so then there's kind of like the obvious George Carlin. I'm not the biggest fan of George Carlin because he is so aggressive, but I am a big fan of Bill Hicks. And Bill Hicks to me is like, you think of the Tool song Third Eye, and it says, "Today a young man on acid realized that all energy is merely condensed to a slow vibration. We are merely the universe experiencing itself subjectively." And that is Bill Hicks right there. And I think that comedy is such a great way to bring up some of these topics and to portray them, because people are paying attention to you. There's one person that's up front that says, now you're looking at me, you're going to listen to my ideas on it. And they use,
Yeah.
and like you're talking about Daniel Sloss, he uses that capability and that audience to convey a much larger message. A lot of women nowadays are using it to convey a level of equality. Comedy, I'm sad I didn't think about to go into the stand-up comedy thing at all. Up until now that we're talking about it, that might be another thing that we can touch base on another show.
I know.
um Here's something that's really Mark Maron. I really like Mark Maron, and he's been talking a lot. He I like him as a person. I like his idea behind his comedy. Last couple of comedy shows haven't been my favorite. My favorite, I think, is Thinky Pain, which is fucking hilarious. However, he does talk a lot. He does talk a bit politically, and he's helping kind of shift perspective. And I think that's what comedy does. It helps take something, flip it on its ass, and then make you look at it from this other perspective. And people are like, and you can use that in other parts of your life too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I kind of wish that was something I thought about before. I wish that I had done. What's something else that I found?
Another one
Yeah.
that I recently, this is a very recent one that I watched,
Okay.
talking about kind of in the not just the female empowerment, but the empowerment of everyone space.
Mm.
So we've talked a little bit about that series I watched on YouTube. What is it? Modern Masculinity. I highly recommend
Oh
that.
yeah.
You want to go watch
Oh
this?
my, I still haven't watched that.
Oh, it's so good. To empower, like, about how men are being their masculinity isn't being treasured or taught to them really anyway, because it's really, really cool. It's a
Yeah.
really interesting one. And then I recently, to go more on like the cinematic version, so that one I highly recommend if you want something kind of more like whoa, just to kind of shift your perspective, because it is a docuseries. But
Okay.
for like an entertainment one, the new Little Women movie, that one, I've read the Little Women books, and it's great and everything, but I love this movie very, very much because it was super, the way it was done and all of the characters and how they cast it and the way the communication works and everything is really, really just genuinely inspiring, that you as a person, whether you're a woman or a man, you don't have to be just one thing. You don't have to be just the homemaker person. You know, you can actually have the love affair and have the solid career and have these things that you want, and it's okay to be more than one thing and be multifaceted, and like your identity doesn't have to be tied to one specific direction. It can be a growing and evolving thing. And that was like the coolest thing with the Little Women movie, is like they illustrated that really, really beautifully.
Wow, interesting. Um, Man, that's this idea. I'm really glad that we talked about this idea of artistry and how grand of messages can be conveyed. Something that I have mixed feelings about is, like I said earlier, Hollywood has used movies to introduce ideas into the general public, to
Mhm.
see how we react to them, but also to like use that for other people to start to take and run with. Like we start watching the X-Files, and all of a sudden it spawns this whole fucking series of information, a whole series of introduction to disclosure into aliens. Whereas, so this can be used in any sort of way. You think of Avatar, you think of how it introduced the concept of spirituality into all of reality. However, it also makes me wonder what ways that they completely tell us what to think. Like we can have things that'll inspire us, and it'll make a point that we would not have thought about otherwise, or that can be used in a negative manner way. That can be used in a negative way as well, introducing ideas that tell us what to pay attention to. Like the media always has a brand new thing for us to be worried about, and then we'll forget about it in another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Something else we'll forget about in another 2 weeks.
I feel like that's why like vibrational discernment is super important, because like if they're giving us these high vibration ideas, then you're going to think more about them and process them differently
Sure.
than these other fear mongering ideas
Yeah,
where
you're
it's
right.
going to elicit different emotions, right? So like the
Yeah.
beauty of like you want to watch and observe everything around you at all fucking times with this vibrational discernment of, whoa, what vibration is this sitting at? Is this actually a higher idea, or what am I using this idea for? Am I
Or
literally
what are
watching?
they trying to do, or what,
Right.
yeah, for sure, what's my reaction to it, or what are they
Yeah.
trying, what's their meaning? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, that's a good point.
You know, because like that's what I always lean back on is like, especially right now during Corona time, I look at the news one time during the day, and I look at very specific. I have signed up for the New York Times email alerts, and they give you a daily briefing with like the top 4 biggest stories. And I don't even necessarily need to read super into the stories most of the time. It's just like, cool, this is the stuff that's fucking happening because I'm getting the soundbite, right? I'm like, I don't need to dive deeper in unless there's a story I need to go do more. But I look at the news one time a fucking day, because the truth is the emails that I'm going to get from my kids' school are going to tell me more about what's going on in my community anyway. The emails I'm going to get from my hospital system here are going to tell me more about that in the first place. So yes, I can look at it
Okay.
nationally, get upset about shit, and then fucking release it and move on about my day, because I don't want to dive into all of it all the time. And that's kind of how I view my media, right? Like, you know, fun media stuff too, is like, if I go to watch a show, I always ask myself, why am I watching this? Like, what's my reason for doing it? Is it because I want to bypass some of the shit I'm feeling? Cool, fucking awesome. At least I acknowledge that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Is it because I'm just intrigued by the concept? Awesome. I'm acknowledging that I'm doing it. Is it because my kids want to watch this for the 8th time and I don't actually like the thing, but we're going to watch it anyway? That's great too. At least I've acknowledged it. So that way, hopefully the ideas presented, I'm more discerning about, as opposed to just being like, oh, this is a thing, you know, and just accepting.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. And then that kind of makes me think about as well, once again, what things are being portrayed to us. And
Mm-hmm.
it's and it's almost it's absolutely almost impossible to find some sort of unbiased news point unless it's like super underground. At that point, it's, how are we even going to hear from it, because there's no funding.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, anything, I've discovered that like as soon as I hear someone say, oh, well, they're a Republican or oh, they're a Democrat, I've like already lost fucking respect.
Yep.
Like as soon as there's any level of like of divisiveness in that way, then I'm fucking over it. And I think that's one thing that we're growing into, we're growing out of as a people, and that's one thing that's why it is such a strong issue right now, is
Yeah.
because it's holding on for dear fucking life. Say no, 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 please don't love each other. No, 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 please don't work together. No, 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 please hate each other, because you're not going to fucking rise up against the media and against the government and against this fucking systems that systemically keep us depressed and keep us suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the answer is, except for actual energy work. And so, except for people like us and people like you guys to fucking sit down and actually work on raising your vibration and raising consciousness. That's all we can do.
I agree. Well, I have so many books on the list. I feel like we should do a separate book episode.
Oh, cool. Books would be fantastic. Yeah, that sounds good. And I think a couple other people have asked us to do that anyway. So.
Yeah. And the books that I have on my list too are, some of them are like to learn about certain things books, but most of them are like high vibration fiction and things like that illustrate.
Ooh, and then we can talk to the wonderful you know who about that potentially. So
maybe we can. Yeah, but I think that'd be fun.
Speaker on. Cool. That sounds wonderful. Man, all right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to Perceptionists Anonymous. We truly appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you reaching out to us. We'll go ahead.
Do you want to do a card pull?
You want to do it?
Sure, I'll do it.
Cool.
Since I have my cards right here, we'll end it on
my
there.
Cats have been such good companions.
Aww.
They've just been helping us talk about all this stuff all day.
That's so nice.
Good babies. I'm so lucky to have such good companions.
That's so nice. Man. I love that. Yeah, my doggy's up here too, just being a doggy.
That's good. Life has been, I wonder what animals have been thinking now that like so many of us have been forced. I mean, I know that you work from home, but like I've been completely forced to like stay home, and I wonder, it's just interesting what our animals think, like what the perception is, or like what do your children think about this about having us to stay home?
So to be totally honest with them specifically, I have taken this opportunity to make it as fun as fucking possible, because what I decided very early on was like, okay, they can either remember this point in time the way we remembered 9/11, because if you think about it, how old we were during 9/11 is how old Shadow is.
Yeah, so, totally.
You know, so sure. I was like, 9/11 was scary as fuck. Like 9/11 was scary because everything was weird. Our parents were scared. Everybody was scared. So I was like, I don't want their defining event that they're always going to remember for the rest of their life to be scary. I want it to be fun. So we've played games. They've put on plays. We've done melty beads. We've played Fortnite. Like we've done so many fun things.
That's awesome.
Actively, every single day, we're actively trying to keep it as fun as fucking possible, so that by the end of the day, yay, we got to stay home and have so much fun, as opposed to like, wow, that was really scary. I really wish we could go back to school. Like we've had Zoom calls with their friends during their friends' birthdays. We've made banners and hung them outside our car and drive by their house and honked so that like their friends get to see out the window that
wow,
for their birthday.
That's fantastic, Emily. You're such a wonderful mother.
Oh, you're so sweet. But yeah, so for them right now, they're kind of just like, no, it's fun. We get to be home. They're not as
cool.
They're not as upset by it. They're not
sure, right? Well, and I guess
they're like sad that we can't go to friends' houses or can't go to Nanny and Papa's house and stuff like that. But for the most
part, they know it's temporary.
Yeah, they've been good.
Yeah, well, they're like have you as well, because some other kids aren't as and I pray for them.
Yeah. Oh, anyway. I was triggered at first by, oh my God, what if I was still in my abusive relationship and couldn't even go to work?
Yeah.
Like that triggered the fuck out of me for like the first week of quarantine, for all the women and men and children that are in these abusive situations.
Oh my gosh.
And don't even get that reprieve. Like my heart broke. Like I broke for them for that first week.
Wow.
Because, like I can't. And now I've like, all right, I need to move through that and like move to the next level. But even talking about it, I'm like, God, like it's just the worst possible imaginable thing at that period in time. And so like there's definitely like I feel for those people because they're really, really
I do too. You're right.
Yeah.
Pray for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Well, the card that I pulled for you guys, and I'm using the Sacred Traveler or Travicle. I just said Sacred
I
Travicle.
know, so sacred clavicle.
Sacred Clavicle. The Sacred Traveler Oracle cards by Denise Lane, and they're so cool. And they're really beautifully illustrated too, and like just the soft illustrations that I really enjoy, and they feel really soft. But the one I pulled is Desert Passage, and it says, "Trust that there's a divine plan." And it's super pretty because it's like a guy walking through the desert, obviously desert passage, but it harkens back to the like we're crossing through this desert time to go to the next one. So
Oh, dude, I was thinking about that. You was thinking about that yesterday, like the 40 days and 40 nights in the desert that it took for Jesus to reach enlightenment.
right, exactly.
Yeah, dude, we're in the desert.
Right.
I'm gonna be off work for about 40 days.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's super crazy. Weston was just told that he does still remain essential.
Okay, good.
So that's cool.
Thank God.
But there was a period, there's a period of time where he was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So
Yeah, for sure. I know. I'm trying to figure out. We'll talk about business stuff later, but go ahead. What's it say?
So Desert Passage, card meaning. Even if it seems that life has areas of barrenness, beneath the surface, life is transforming in accordance with your highest good. Trust that you are guided, even if it doesn't always seem like it. There are always spiritual guides, allies, and angels surrounding you. Listen with your heart, act on your instincts, and believe that the messages you're being given are in your highest good. Get down to the basics and trust what you feel. The desert pass can seem like a vast wasteland, yet it is the isolation that immense insights and intuition can emerge. Whoa, it even used the word isolation.
Wow.
In times of old, sages and visionaries retreated into the desert to connect more deeply with spirit.
Yep.
If in the past you trusted your instincts and then later it seemed to be a mistake, don't let that keep you from trusting your intuition now. Often those things that we thought were mistakes in the past, in hindsight, were the best things possible for us. As you open your intuition, you will sense messages from and the loving presence of your spirit guides and ancestors. There's a potential plan for your life. Simply trust it.
Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. I know that I really resonate with that, especially being kind of balls deep in this quarantine right now.
And watch fun movies.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And to recognize that even if we're not actively using our minds and actively using our bodies to create change, know that sometimes sitting in bed and watching that movie is what you need to be doing.
Totally. So this actually, I will tell one last quick story, guys. I'm sorry. It's going long, but I don't care. So the other night, I basically during the full moon, I was like, I need to release some of these things that are like walls around my heart from allowing me to really truly perceive and give love because of past experiences and all this different stuff, and allow myself to like trust that the people that love me actually do, and it's not something that's not, and all these really deep things that I was like releasing. And I was like, okay, so I did a bunch of releasing and I did a ritual and everything. And I was like, now I'm going to listen to my book. And of course, the second I put on my book, it literally like says all of those things. Like it like reiterated everything as I was drawing. And I was like, oh my God, synchronicities, because that's what this high vibration shit does, is it gives us some of these moments of synchronicity and things that we didn't necessarily know we needed. And then we do.
Well, and that kind of something that I've been learning a lot is to trust divine timing and to not feel like you're supposed to be in another place that you're not.
Yeah.
Like I've been, you're trying, like, even if you have goals and you're working towards something but you can't make yourself feel bad that you're not already there. Like with my business, I feel like I'm just getting started and I'm upset that I'm not already wildly successful. And I have to trust that, oh yeah, there's other reasons. There's all these details that are being put into place. And we have to trust that there is divine timing, and you have to trust that what you need is going to be there when you need it.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's a great way to end it. Look at that.
Yeah, dude. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we love you.
Yeah, we love you. Thank you so much for checking us out and listening to the show. We just really appreciate you. We appreciate all that you give to the show. Like just by existing, like it's so nice to feel your energies and that you listen. So thank you very much. And again, if you are enjoying us, please subscribe, leave us a review. We appreciate it. All of that.
Perceptionists Anonymous.
Boop, 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 boop,
do.
You can follow us on Instagram.
You guys know how to get us.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at Perceptionists Anonymous. Give us some recommendations for high vibe movies that you enjoy. We would like to enjoy what you enjoy. And yeah, as always, remember.
Yeah, let us know if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, anyone that you want to see us potentially get on the show. Obviously, we've been blessed with a lot of really fucking cool interviews we've already done, and a lot of the cool ones that are coming out. And we look forward to hearing what you guys think about that. Okay?
Yeah, let us know if you have people you're like, this person should be on your show. We'll find a way.
Right. Well, all right, you guys. Well, like always, you're magical as fuck.
We did it! The countdown works!
Not bad.